This city was once a bustling, thriving metropolis. Imagine a place full of life, where people were caught up in the excitement and energy of everyday life. But everything changed in an instant when a massive meteor struck. It was completely unexpected and devastating, practically wiping out everything. The aftermath was catastrophic. The environment was completely ruined, and the oxygen levels in the air plummeted at an alarming rate, making survival an absolute struggle. Ever since that disaster, oxygen has become the most precious resource imaginable, and society has fractured into three very distinct and unequal classes. At the very top, you have the elite. The super-rich live comfortably inside these incredible climate-controlled domes. These domes are like their own little worlds filled with plenty of oxygen and a life of luxury. They can move around freely, live their lives normally, and seem completely untouched by the oxygen crisis happening just outside their walls. Then, there's the second class, the workers. They live in the middle zone where oxygen is scarcer than it is in the domes. Each day, they have to work incredibly hard, practically selling their labor just to earn the right to breathe, and they live in really difficult conditions. And finally, at the very bottom, you have the forgotten class, the impoverished. These people don't have QR identification codes. They don't have any rights as citizens. They are forced to live in the shadows, constantly in fear of humanity because if they're caught, they'll be immediately expelled or even killed. The gap between these classes is only widening as the population continues to grow and the oxygen supply continues to dwindle. Now, those in power are starting to consider a truly cruel plan. They want to build an exclusive city just for the elite, and at the same time, they're secretly plotting to eliminate the lives of the poor. Their twisted logic is that if they allow the poor to continue to exist, the already limited oxygen supply won't be enough to sustain the lives of the elite. But in this dark and desperate situation, a group known as the Black Knights has emerged. They've taken on a dangerous mission to distribute oxygen and provide support to those who need it most. But the heartbreaking truth is that the right to breathe something we once took completely for granted has become a luxury, a privilege that's out of reach for so many. After uncovering the power player's sinister plot, a young man named Wu Bin decides he can't stand by and watch. He's had enough and decides to rise up. He starts planning a rebellion to protect the innocent, the poor, the people who are struggling every single day just to survive in this increasingly suffocating world. Standing against him is Ryu Suk, the ruthless and selfish leader of this world. When he discovers he's suffering from a terminal illness, he makes a truly insane decision. He's going to eliminate 99% of the population, keeping only the elite to ensure that the remaining oxygen is reserved solely for those he deems worthy. In a world where life is literally measured by each breath, Wu Bin and other ordinary people begin to fight to reclaim their right to exist, a fight where courage might be the only thing that can overcome absolute power. Wu Bin himself is one of the oxygen delivery guys in the city. His job isn't easy, not by a long shot. The oxygen tanks he carries are constantly at risk of being stolen, especially with the danger lurking from the desperate refugees living in deprivation. This job demands physical strength, quick thinking, and a cool head. If you don't have the guts, it's tough to last long in this line of work. In fact, not a single delivery goes by without Wu Bin getting robbed. It's just a fact of life for him, and it seems like this time it is no different. Dealing with and fighting off these aggressive people has just become a part of his daily routine. In the eyes of many, especially the young people in the city, oxygen delivery guys like Wu Bin are incredibly cool, like superheroes, because they don't just carry life itself. They carry hope. Of course, Saul is no exception. He's a refugee without a QR code, so he's forced to live as a nomad. Not only that, but he has to fight every day to grab every precious breath he can for himself. Today, in a fierce brawl, Saul single-handedly takes down 10 other refugees. Despite being strong and full of determination, he harbors a high-minded dream to become an oxygen delivery guy like Wu Bin. It has been his ideal since he was a kid. Just then, Wu Bin is on his way to deliver an oxygen tank to an elderly man. The old man's breath is getting weaker and weaker. His life is hanging by a thread. Luckily, Wu Bin shows up just in the nick of time, giving him what he needs to keep going. After the delivery, Wu Bin scans a barcode on the back of the old man's hand to finalize the job. That's when he gets an emergency call. One of his colleagues has been ambushed by a gang of ruthless robbers. Their eyes are fixated on the QR code on the guy's hand, like a pack of hyenas that have spotted a wounded prey. Fortunately, just at that moment, Wu Bin suddenly appears, like an avenging angel. That's what saved his colleague's arm. Seeing his friend getting bullied, Wu Bin is having none of it. He quickly jumps into the middle of the thugs and teaches them a lesson they won't soon forget. It's one against many, but he still manages to scare them off and make them scatter. Siola is a female military lieutenant living in the upper class, inside the protective domes that shield residents from the toxic air and provide a rich supply of oxygen. She has a younger sister and a cousin named Saul. Because of his difficult family situation, Saul was taken in and raised by Siola. From a young age, she's always tried to find a way to get a citizen QR code for her brother, so he can live with dignity like everyone else. But every effort has failed, and Saul is still considered an outsider, someone who doesn't exist in the system. Because he doesn't have a QR code, Saul is strictly forbidden from stepping outside the house. If the police find him, he could be treated as a threat and dealt with accordingly. On the other side of the city, where the domes for the elite cover the sky like giant glass bubbles, the president begins to realize that the number of residents has become overcrowded, and the limited living space is starting to become a problem. To improve living conditions, she decides to ask Engineer Kim, the head of the dome construction projects, to design a new dome. Engineer Kim agrees, but due to his poor health, he has to hand the task over to his son, Ryu Suk. From a young age, Ryu Suk has always been praised as someone with exceptional abilities, so the president doesn't hesitate and immediately trusts him with this important responsibility. But what she doesn't realize is that behind Ryu Suk's polished and courteous exterior lies a dark and growing ambition. No sooner has the president left the office than Ryu Suk coldly tells his father that he wants to overthrow the government. He refuses to continue living under the command of that woman. But Engineer Kim, an old man full of principles, doesn't agree with that decision. His loyalty to the president and his moral values make him determined to stop his son from doing something wrong. At this point, Ryu Suk isn't strong enough yet. He still depends on his father, so he has to put his plan on hold and wait for the right moment. But little do people know, beyond the safe and modern domes, there's another world entirely. It's a place where the refugees are living in extreme poverty and hardship. No QR codes, no rights. They're like shadows, existing in a constant state of suffocation and fear. After his long, stressful days at work, Woo Bin quietly goes to this area to check on the people. Each time, he doesn't just bring oxygen, he brings compassion. Today, he manages to save a dying little girl with his spare oxygen tank. Not only that, but Woo Bin also brings a big box of food, something that's rare in this place. Then, he distributes small portions to everyone, under the grateful and moved eyes of people who seem to have been forgotten. Woo Bin's kindness makes him a hero in their eyes. That day, Woo Bin received a special oxygen delivery order, straight to the home of Lieutenant Siola. At this point, he doesn't know that there's a group of people following him. Immediately after he leaves the lieutenant's house, they cut off the power. Then they go back, pretending to be him to trick someone inside to open the door. The little sister, at home, thinks Woo Bin has returned, so without any suspicion, she runs to open the door. The moment she does, the strangers burst in and restrain her. One of them is preparing to inject her with a strange liquid. It's not clear what it is, but it's definitely not something good. Fortunately, Saul is in the next room. Hearing the strange noise, he immediately rushes over. Without any hesitation, he uses his own body to shield his sister from the harmful needle. Even though he knows he's outnumbered, he fights back like a madman. Powerless, he can't protect the sister he loves the most. Before he can even understand what's happening, they kill him. Not far away, Woo Bin has just left when he suddenly hears strange sounds coming from behind him. Sensing something bad, he immediately turns around and runs back towards the lieutenant's house. But when he steps inside, the scene that unfolds before him freezes him in place for a good 5 seconds. Bodies are lying everywhere, cold and lifeless. He pulls up the sleeve of one of the guys and notices a triangle symbol on his side. There's no doubt about it. These thugs are Ryu Suk's men. After confirming that everyone is dead, Woo Bin suddenly sees one hand twitching slightly. Even though he doesn't know who this person is, Woo Bin decides to take him in for treatment, hoping to find some kind of clue. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Siola returns home to witness a ruined house and shattered doors. But the worst part is seeing her little sister lying there motionless. Her eyes still open like she hadn't had a chance to say a word. She's petrified. The pain is so overwhelming that she can't even cry. All she can do is stand there, silent and trembling. From the depths of her heart, Siola swears that even if she has to sacrifice everything, she will avenge her sister. After waking up, Saul struggles and screams, demanding revenge for his little sister. Seeing the situation spiraling out of control, Woo Bin has no choice but to give him a sedative to calm him down. During the surgery, the doctor manages to remove a bullet from Saul's skull, but what leaves everyone stunned and speechless is that the bullet is abnormally warped and bent. Woo Bin is confused. He wonders how Saul's skull could be so hard that it actually deformed a bullet. After closer inspection, he notices that Saul has a gap in his ankle, revealing metal inside. It turns out that Saul isn't a normal person. He's a pure-blood mutant with incredible strength. Meanwhile, Ryu Suk is desperately searching for Saul because he needs his body to fulfill his ambition for immortality. At the same time, he begins to manipulate the minds of the refugee community by convincing them to help build a giant dome. He promises that once the project is complete, they'll be able to live inside as new citizens. But Wu Bin soon realizes the real plan behind the promise. He understands that once the dome is finished, these refugees will become sacrifices. So, the priority is to stop Ryu Suk from completing that project at all costs. At the same time, a delivery guy, one of Ryu Suk's henchmen, arrives at Ryu Suk's place, looking exhausted and wanting to quit his job. While the two of them are talking, the guy confesses that over the past few months, he's grown tired of kidnapping people to serve Ryu Suk's evil plans. Hearing this, Ryu Suk doesn't get angry at all. Instead, he calmly persuades the guy. Then, he asks his henchman to help him out one last time. If he just completes this one last mission, he'll never have to worry about money again. In another development, Wu Bin and his group start noticing that more and more people are disappearing mysteriously. He has a feeling that a dark force is definitely involved in this. Determined to find out who's pulling the strings behind all these dirty deeds, Wu Bin secretly attaches a camera to one of the potential victims to keep tabs on them. After locating their position using a GPS tracker, he and his group immediately follow the trail to the place where the poor kids are being held. They quietly sneak in and quickly take down countless guards. When they flip up the sleeves of these guys, they're shocked to discover that familiar triangle symbol. It's the sign of an underground organization. Then, the scene before them freezes the whole group in place. All the people who have gone missing have been captured and brought here. Without hesitating, Wu Bin and his team immediately work together to rescue all the children who are being held captive. On the other side, Ryu Suk's father begins to get suspicious when strange things keep happening. He sternly asks his son if these strange events have anything to do with him. Ryu Suk keeps his arrogant face and denies any involvement. His father turns on a large screen, showing people living inside the dome. He calmly says that all his life, he's only hoped to save as many people as possible, because that's the ideal he's always pursued. Hearing this, Ryu Suk finally reveals his true colors. At this point, he no longer hesitates to say everything on his mind. In Ryu Suk's eyes, those people aren't even worthy of living. Then, he declares that one day, he will seize all power from his father. This cruelty is not simply ambition. Ryu Suk desires to live. Turns out that Ryu Suk has a terrible disease that forces him to get blood transfusions every day to stay alive. That's why he's been capturing countless refugees. His only goal is to find a mutant with a specific blood type to serve his dream of immortality. Meanwhile, Wu Bin goes to the old engineer's workshop and gives him the deformed bullet that was taken from Saul's head. Then, he tells him that Saul is actually a mutant. Hearing this, the old man sighs and says that it's because Saul was exposed to radiation a long time ago, which caused his body to develop abnormally. Wu Bin then asks if he can invite Saul to join his group. However, the old man shakes his head and says that Saul is still caught up in his grief after his sister's passing, so he isn't ready to accept anything right now. Knowing that he can't force Saul, Wu Bin returns to the delivery station. As soon as he arrives, he notices that delivery truck number 57 is open. Sensing something bad, Wu Bin immediately rushes over and sees 57 about to do something foolish. He quickly cuts the rope to save himself. Then Wu Bin immediately questions him, believing that 57 has been helping the people who are kidnapping children. As number 57 is gasping for air, about to reveal the name Ryu Suk activates the self-destruct chip implanted in him. Then, he collapses and dies right there on the spot. At this point, Wu Bin can only stare at the lifeless body with a look of helplessness, because the only clue he had has just vanished right before his eyes. On the other side, Ryu Suk is furious when he learns that 57 acted on his own. He immediately scolds O and criticizes him for not controlling his subordinates. Not stopping there, he activates the chip implanted in O, causing him to writhe in pain and kneel on the ground, begging for mercy. After a lot of screaming, O is temporarily spared, but before he can even breathe a sigh of relief, he's ordered to be even more brutal. He's forced to come up with a way to deal with the refugees once and for all. After thinking for a long time, O hesitantly suggests an idea. If they create a spectacle to attract attention, lure all the refugees to gather in one place, and then eliminate them all at once, it would be more convenient. Hearing this, Ryu Suk immediately nods, showing that he's extremely satisfied with his subordinate's selective cruelty. Immediately afterward, the group starts sending people to distribute flyers in the refugee area, announcing a competition to recruit delivery people. Thinking it's the real deal, people flock to register for their own reasons. As soon as the news spreads, Saul is eager to join the competition. That day, he frantically runs into the street and blocks Wu Bin's car, like he has something to say. But Wu Bin doesn't slow down. Instead, he slams on the gas and drives straight towards him. Just as they're about to collide, Saul lies flat on the ground, dodging the crash by a hair's breadth. To anyone watching, it looks like an accident, but for them, it's just a casual greeting. Saul says he wants to participate in the delivery person selection process, so he wants Wu Bin to train him so he can win. After hearing this, Wu Bin is too angry and refuses outright. But seeing Saul's sincerity, he says he'll accept only if he proves himself worthy. That night, at the delivery person training facility in the desolate wasteland, Wu Bin and his team are discussing their plan to overthrow Ryu Suk and his human experiments. At the same time, he shows everyone images of mutants who have metal bones and the ability to self-heal. Just as everyone is meeting, the lieutenant suddenly appears. While there, he reveals to her that 5-7 was framed using a chip attached to his neck. At the same time, he shows her the tattoo that the henchmen have. At this point, the lieutenant realizes that the situation is much more serious than she imagined. The next day, Saul goes to meet Wu Bin. True to his word, he wants to fight Wu Bin to prove his strength. But strangely, while he can take down 10 guys on his own outside, he's even worse than a child when he faces Wu Bin. While fighting, Wu Bin only uses one hand to throw him out of the ring. Finally, after playing around for a while, Wu Bin taps him lightly, and it's enough for Saul to collapse to the floor. The next day, Ryu Suk uses a large screen to broadcast a live announcement. The delivery person recruitment competition is officially starting. The final winner will become a delivery person, and at the same time, that person will have the right to live inside the dome forever. Before long, about 10,000 people had registered to participate in the competition. Saul successfully passes the muscle measurement machine, but the following issues are a little difficult. Applicants with QR codes are registered very quickly, but Saul is a refugee, so he can only receive the entry number 34. After registering, he immediately goes to Wu Bin to train. The first exercise is reacting to a ball shooting machine, and the second is defending and dodging attacks. The final exercise is attacking and defeating the opponent. Saul's skills improve day by day. Finally, the day of the selection competition arrives after 10 days. Every 100 applicants are put into a room, where they're forced to fight each other until only one person is left standing. At this point, the oxygen level will gradually decrease from 100% to 0. The tight time frame doesn't give anyone a moment to breathe. 100 people are frantically fighting each other. Saul, having been trained thoroughly by Wu Bin, proves to be superior. He doesn't panic and calmly fights against the group. After a while, the oxygen level drops to just a few percent, causing Saul to become tired and hallucinate about the day his sister was harmed. While he's dizzy, he's attacked by a stranger. So now, there are only 2 people left in this room. Finally, Saul thinks of his sister, generating the strength to defeat the other guy. The walls lower down, showing that the other rooms have also finished their assessments. After selecting from 800 people, 8 leaders have been chosen. Of course, these are all extremely skilled tough guys. That night, Wu Bin intercepts a truck carrying refugees to build the dome. His teammates report that these people have just finished working in the mine, so now they're being taken away to be eliminated. The spy reports that the dome is almost finished and that as soon as it is, 30,000 workers will be attacked en masse. To avoid suspicion, Wu Bin has to shoot his teammate in the arm so he can pretend to be robbed. Ryu Suk is extremely angry when he hears that the truck carrying workers has been robbed. He immediately orders O to quickly get help from the military. Back with Saul, who's being trained by Wu Bin, today he'll be learning to drive. But to everyone's surprise, Saul is a skilled driver because he's stolen so many cars. So Wu Bin gets bored and doesn't bother training him how to drive anymore. The next day, the final round between the 8 remaining people has arrived. According to the rules of the competition, each person has to deliver a package to the destination. On the way, they also have to dodge the hunters and defeat them. The hunters here are death row inmates, and any hunter who steals a package will be pardoned immediately. Finally, the 2 strongest applicants out of the 8 will be selected to fight each other. Wu Bin and the delivery people will supervise, ensuring fairness. At the same time, President Ryu Suk himself is present. Outside, the 8 competitors go out to choose their delivery vehicles. After taking a look around, Saul randomly chooses a beat-up, terrible car. Inside, of course, is a pre-wrapped package. The cars have been chosen, and the 8 contestants line up, ready to race. As soon as it starts, everyone floors it, trying their best to reach the finish line first. But this race is just like a death race, so the hunter inmates quickly appear. They're frantically firing to steal the packages, so the applicants have to race and dodge bullets at the same time. Outside, there are about 10 hunters chasing behind, firing their guns. One by one, the less skilled racers are taken out by them. In a moment of life and death, quick-thinking girl pulls out a gun and takes down one of the robbers. To increase the drama, Ryu-suk presses a button, causing the building in front of them to explode. Everyone immediately accelerates, trying to avoid the falling debris. The large building then collapses across the road, crushing the cars behind that didn't have time to escape. Saul is lucky to escape, and then sees on the screen that there are only 4 contestants left. The 2 leading contestants start squeezing each other's cars, preventing each other from moving forward. The robbers, seeing this, add fuel to the fire, causing car number 5 to explode. Saul's car is number 8, and he's being chased by 2 robbers, so he quickly turns his car around, taking down the 2 robbers on motorbikes. The robber in the car drives straight into the front of his car, wanting to corner him. Saul quickly tricks him into pushing him into a house, then turns his car around and shoots out. Unexpectedly, just at this moment, he's hit by another robber, causing his car to flip. Saul risks his life, abandoning the car and running towards the finish line on foot. But seeing that number 3 is stuck, he goes back to help. He throws the package inside and pushes the car to help her escape the mud. Unfortunately, the hunters don't give up, so the 2 of them have to fight and try to escape the mud at the same time. When the car gets moving, the robbers are all over the car, so the 2 of them are driving and fighting at the same time. In a critical moment, the girl slams on the brakes, causing her and the robbers to be thrown out of the car. After the storm has passed, only Saul remains in the car. Although he has gained control of the steering wheel, he sees the girl shooting at the robbers, and number 1 has passed him to reach the finish line. At this point, Saul could abandon the girl and choose to finish, but in the end, he decides to turn back to save her life. He just keeps reversing, taking down the hunters. Thanks to this, he saves the girl from being chased in the hail of bullets. Then, the 2 of them rush towards the finish line together. But unexpectedly, the organizers chose the girl to advance to the next round. It turns out that Saul's package was damaged because it was hit by a bullet. Witnessing that result, Woo-bin is furious and gets up to leave. A little later, Ryu-suk receives news that contestant number 3 broke her arm and has withdrawn. Hearing this, he immediately thinks of an extremely sneaky plan. Because Saul is a refugee who saved his teammate and reached the finish line, choosing him will cause the refugees to gather to cheer him on. When that happens, dealing with the refugees will be as easy as pie. Saul, on the other hand, is overjoyed when he gets the news that he's been chosen for the finals. At this point, he still has no idea that he's going to harm millions of poor people. Later, the lieutenant and her subordinates follow a man because he has a tattoo on his neck. This guy is pretty sharp. He realizes he's being followed and quickly runs off, dropping his pants. Without thinking too much, the lieutenant immediately chases him to an abandoned house. Just as she's carefully examining the place, he suddenly appears behind her and restrains her. The lieutenant pretends to surrender and then suddenly turns around and counterattacks him. The 2 of them fight hand-to-hand for a while, but unexpectedly, the guy manages to pick up his gun first. Just at this moment, the lieutenant's teammates arrive to surround him, but instead of being captured, he presses the self-destruct button and dies right there on the spot. As a result, the lieutenant still doesn't know that Ryu-suk is the one behind it all. Saul has been chosen for the finals, so for the first time, he gets to go to the dome to reunite with his foster sister, the lieutenant. He's overjoyed. The lieutenant wishes him victory so he can become a delivery person. Finally, the fight between number 1 and Saul is about to begin. Ryu-suk has set up many huge screens so everyone can gather to watch. He's very happy because everyone has fallen into his trap. That night, Woo-bin's transportation team takes action. He directly blocks the path of the trucks carrying generators to build the dome. As soon as they stop, his teammates immediately rush out and take down the guards. Then, they set explosives to blow up the super huge generator. Ryu-suk receives this news from Oh and is extremely angry. If things have turned out this way, the dome's test run will have to be postponed. Then, he goes down to the secret basement, which is his hidden chamber. Below are thousands of machines for experiments, and in each machine is a human being. Ryu-suk experiments on them like insects because human life is worthless to him. Before the final fight, Ryu-suk sends many large trucks out. Each truck has a large screen to broadcast the fight live. These trucks go straight to the refugee areas so they can gather to watch. The refugees don't know anything, so they gather to watch the atmosphere. At the same time, Ryu-suk also brings a lot of gifts to give away for free, so none of the refugees want to stay at home. They don't know that inside each truck is a powerful bomb. In the end, only the old man and Saul's 3 best friends are at home watching TV. On this side, Woo-bin isn't watching the fight because he has to make deliveries. On the way, he unexpectedly encounters 2 strange black cars, so Woo-bin gets out to confront them. Seeing them pull out weapons, he quickly draws his gun first and takes down several of them. He has to fight over 10 people alone, but thanks to his superb skills, Wu Bin quickly defeats them all. After knocking one of them unconscious, he suddenly notices a tattoo on the back of his neck, so he quickly removes the chip to capture him alive. At the same time, Saul and Number 1 have entered the arena. The two sides will fight until one person is knocked out. After greeting his opponent, Number 1 kicks out, but Saul dodges in time. Sure enough, this guy is not to be trifled with, so at the beginning of the fight, he rushes in and corners Saul repeatedly. Before long, he kicks Saul away and then rushes in to beat him up. Saul can only launch weak counterattacks, and the other guy punches him until he's spitting up blood. The fight is like a brutal torture session. Most of the refugees are cheering for Saul, so they're extremely disappointed when they see this. Luckily, the first round is about to temporarily end. The president, who came to watch the fight, is also feeling disappointed. Unexpectedly, Saul still feels very confident underneath it all. At the same time, at the broadcasting points for the refugees, each place has people with tattoos on the back of their necks. They're wearing extremely large backpacks because inside are bombs and mines. Before long, the second round between the two beasts has arrived. Everyone thought that Saul would counterattack in this round, but unexpectedly, he still lets his opponent beat him up. At the same time, Wu Bin is interrogating the guy he captured, and through his phone, he learns about Ryu Suk's plan to harm the refugees. The purpose of organizing the competition is to gather all the refugees into one group, and then he'll have people bomb and harm them all at once. Wu Bin's eyes widen when he learns that the opponent's plan is so cruel. At the same time, Ryu Suk orders his subordinates to start the bombing. After hearing him say that, Oh obeys his orders and goes outside to get people to act. Just at this moment, the lieutenant receives a text message from Wu Bin with the news. On the other side of the city, Wu Bin is driving like crazy, calling on his teammates to quickly evacuate the refugee areas. At this moment, Saul has been seriously injured and enters the final round. At this moment, he finally rises up and fights with all his might. The refugees, seeing this, cheer him on with all their might, not noticing the many suicide bombers sitting right next to them. After fighting for a while, Saul gains the upper hand, and then he unleashes a legendary punch, knocking out his opponent. After checking, the referee announces that Saul has won. This moment makes all the refugees explode with joy. Saul, a refugee, has won. It's as if the refugees have won. At this moment, Saul is so happy that he takes off the bandage on his head, and that moment reveals the metal mark on his brain. Ryu Suk is stunned when he sees this. He didn't expect that Saul was the mutant he'd been searching for all this time. At the same time, the bombs have been detonated, and all 6 million refugees have been blown up. By the time Wu Bin drives to the scene, they're just ashes. For the past 9 years, he's been painstakingly fighting for the refugees, but Ryu Suk has handled them all with a chilling plan. The scene before him makes Wu Bin suddenly remember 9 years ago, the day that many of his compatriots were harmed by a jerk. He was lucky that day to have been revived from the brink of death. When the lieutenant arrives on the scene, she of course sees this scene, and then she suddenly remembers Ryu Suk's strange behavior. At that moment, she knows that he's the culprit behind everything. Just at this moment, her subordinate reports that about 6 million people have died. Wu Bin's teammate interrogates the guy, but no matter what he does, he won't reveal the truth. Wu Bin looks at him impatiently, so he pulls out a gun and points it straight at his throat. Over here, Saul also discovers the metal mark on his forehead. He remembers being attacked last year and somehow still surviving. Suddenly, Saul realizes that he's the mutant that everyone is looking for. Because he's the champion and has become a delivery person, Saul is issued an official QR code, becoming a citizen. At the same time, he's tricked by Ryu Suk into giving a large bag of blood. After the mass harm case, Wu Bin is extremely dissatisfied, so he meets with the delivery team to discuss a plan to capture Ryu Suk. His teammates suggest killing him, but Wu Bin suggests capturing Ryu Suk alive instead. Ryu Suk, on the other hand, is still rejoicing after getting Saul's blood. He orders experiments to be performed on people before injecting it into his body. This is the final piece that will help him become immortal. Thinking of this, Ryu Suk suddenly feels extremely excited. Just at this moment, the lieutenant comes to meet Wu Bin to talk. Looking at the henchman with the surgical scar on his forehead, the lieutenant knows that they've had desensitizing chips implanted in their heads. That explains why they have no emotions and are willing to be suicide bombers. Wu Bin gives the lieutenant the henchman's phone, hoping that the lieutenant can decode it to find evidence of Ryu Suk's crimes. Ryu Suk, on the other hand, is filtering blood before receiving it, and runs in to report. He's preparing to test the blood of the mutant Saul on humans. Below are hundreds of cabins, where people with Ryu Suk's disease are being tested. A little later, his father calls Ryu-suk in and scolds him, asking why he didn't protect the people from the terrorists' bombing. At this point, he still doesn't know that Ryu-suk is the one who did everything. In the evening, Saul comes to meet Woo-bin, and he's surprised to see a henchman imprisoned in this place. Woo-bin explains that he's one of the people who harmed his sister. At the same time, in the final round that he competed in, Ryu-suk set a trap to harm millions of people, because he wants to create a world without inferior people. In the end, Woo-bin says if he wants to harm him, then follow me. At the same time, the lieutenant is being forced to give the population data to Ryu-suk. At this point, Ryu-suk pretends to promise to put all the refugees in the new dome, and at the same time, he'll give them vaccinations and provide them with plenty of food, causing the naive lieutenant to trust him. A little later, the lieutenant goes to meet Woo-bin on a desolate road. She's decoded the phone but hasn't found any evidence that Ryu-suk gave the orders, so there's no basis to arrest him. At the same time, Ryu-suk's plan to relocate the refugees has begun. The last surviving refugees are all coming to register, and the delivery team has come here to watch them. As a result, the henchmen suddenly raid the delivery base, quickly rescuing the henchmen. But when they get outside, the delivery team has returned, so a fierce shootout occurs. The delivery team is shooting and retreating towards their vehicles, and as a result, the henchman manages to get into the car and escape. Arriving at a warehouse, he quickly takes shelter and then takes out his phone to report. After receiving the news, Oh immediately comes to meet him. The henchman recounts how he was captured by Woo-bin and the delivery team, and then suddenly, a group of people came to rescue him. Oh, hearing this, immediately pulls out his gun and shoots him, because he knows that he's fallen into Woo-bin's trap. Sure enough, the group that rescued him is actually Woo-bin's men. The rescue was fake to lure the director to this place. At that moment, Woo-bin appears in front of Oh, and the lieutenant appears and handcuffs him. Everyone asks who's behind him, but the guy thinks that Ryu-suk will harm him with the remote chip, so no matter how they interrogate him, he absolutely won't say anything. Woo-bin loses his temper and pushes him out the window, threatening to drop him if he doesn't talk. Seeing that he's still stubborn and won't talk, Woo-bin has no choice but to drag him back inside. The lieutenant suggests that he help her overthrow Ryu-suk, because that way there won't be anyone to detonate the chip in his neck, and the director agrees. On Ryu-suk's side, he's already started experimenting. As soon as he injects the mutant serum into a patient with the same disease as him, the patient's complexion immediately recovers, and the disease is completely gone. Ryu-suk is shocked by this, and the opportunity for immortality has become crystal clear. On Woo-bin's side, he and his teammates suddenly see Ryu-suk's trucks driving around in circles. He follows them and uses a measuring device, which shows that they're releasing toxic gas. Suddenly, Woo-bin understands, and his hair stands on end because it seems like Ryu-suk wants to harm all the second-class citizens slowly. He immediately gathers all the delivery people in the team. Capturing Ryu-suk can't be delayed any longer. At this point, Ryu-suk's plan to vaccinate the refugees has begun. In reality, he's injecting the people with a drug that weakens their resistance. To achieve his goals, he and Oh go to the site to check. Above, Woo-bin is holding his gun, aiming straight at him, but as he's about to pull the trigger, he moves into a blind spot. At the same time, Woo-bin's teammates have broken into Ryu-suk's base. They quickly take down the guards and copy the data in the computers, then set bombs to destroy the power panels in the house, causing the trucks that are releasing toxic gas to lose control and stop. Back with Woo-bin, he's found a suitable opportunity to prepare to shoot. But just as he's about to fire, a handgun suddenly appears behind him, pointing straight at his head. Fortunately, Woo-bin's teammate is quicker and shoots down the ambusher in time. Without losing momentum, Woo-bin immediately fires at the main target. But unfortunately, the bullet goes astray. Immediately afterward, guards rush out from everywhere, surrounding the area, and the mission is considered a failure. The two sides immediately engage in a fierce shootout, with bullets exploding everywhere. In the chaos, Ryu-suk also realizes that the person who just tried to kill him is none other than Woo-bin. Woo-bin furiously fires away, but with the thick bulletproof glass, none of the bullets can penetrate it. Finally, under a hail of bullets, Ryu-suk manages to escape unscathed. At the same time, the lieutenant is meeting privately with Ryu-suk's father to talk. She doesn't beat around the bush and frankly reveals that Ryu-suk is the one behind the case that harmed 6 million refugees. Hearing her say this, his father is shocked and angry. In his eyes, there's a clear disappointment in his son. Just at this moment, the lieutenant receives an urgent report that the mission to harm Ryu-suk has failed. Not long after, Ryu-suk also returns to his base. His face darkens when he learns that the person who attacked him was the delivery team. On the other side, after the delivery team's mission fails, all they can do is hide. Having no other choice, the lieutenant has to come up with a temporary plan. She tells everyone to lie low and wait, and she'll take care of Ryu Suk herself. Woo Bin is uneasy, but he nods and orders the group to split up and flee. That very night, Ryu Suk leads thousands of soldiers to raid the delivery team's base. But when they open the door and rush in, all that awaits them is an eerily empty space, because the delivery team has already split up. So Ryu Suk's entire plan has turned to dust. In a fit of extreme anger, he orders the soldiers to hunt down the entire delivery team. As long as they find someone, they're allowed to kill them on the spot without reporting. Only Sawul, the only mutant in the group, is ordered to be kept alive at all costs. On this side, Ryu Suk's father personally goes to meet the old man, one of the old friends he used to be close to. It turns out that the two were once confidants, but because of a wrongful act by Ryu Suk's father in the past, they cut off contact for many years. Now he's come back not to rekindle old feelings, but to right the wrong. He also promises the old man that this time, he'll live righteously and do the right thing. Before long, the refugees who were injected with Ryu Suk's drug begin to develop symptoms en masse. However, the true face of the person behind this dark scheme hasn't been exposed yet. Meanwhile, Ryu Suk's father has officially signed a contract with the president, a pledge to expand the dome to bring all the refugees to live together. However, this humanitarian plan makes Ryu Suk extremely angry. He rushes off to find his father and angrily questions why he's doing this. If they really put the refugees in the dome, wouldn't their living environment be destroyed? The argument between the two fathers and sons is still up in the air when the Minister of Defense suddenly leads soldiers in. Then, he coldly announces that Ryu Suk has been arrested. Cornered, he pulls out a gun hidden in his body, shoots down two soldiers, and then turns to throw the gun into his father's hand. His voice is grating and bitter as he tells him to pick up the gun and shoot his son if he's so good. The president was about to end the tragedy when another shot rang out. Even in his dreams, he wouldn't have expected the Minister of Defense to fire at him. Only at that moment does the entire truth slowly reveal itself. The Minister of Defense turns out to have the same ideas as Ryu Suk. Although they both have their own schemes, they share the same goal, so they decided to join hands and cooperate. The Minister of Defense also boldly declares that from now on, he'll be on the same side as Ryu Suk. After his father's death, Ryu Suk naturally becomes the successor to all of his power. At the same time, the president has also been arrested for unknown reasons. The political situation falls into chaos as almost all authority falls into his hands. After hearing the news, Woo Bin can't sit still anymore. He immediately plans to break into the core area inside the dome to capture the enemy alive. Hearing this, the old man takes out a map and hands it to him. It turns out that the old man was the one who designed the entire structure of the dome. So it's not just a map, but also a key to survival for this mission. Holding the map in his hand, Woo Bin's eyes shine with determination. Thanks to the old man's help, he has more confidence to enter the biggest battle of his life. Under intense pressure, the delivery team has now been listed as global criminals. The military is chasing them down in every corner, causing unprecedented chaos in the city. Meanwhile, Woo Bin and Sawul have secretly retreated to an underground bunker. Here, they're quickly preparing weapons and food for the upcoming coup, a war whose success or failure will determine the fate of all of humanity. Before long, all residents received orders to gather for vaccinations. Everything is going according to the plan of that scoundrel Ryu Suk. On the surface, it's an injection for public health, but in reality, it's meant to harm the people. In just a short time, a series of people begin to faint as they fall to the ground, with the needle marks still on their arms. Then, the alarm bell for doomsday has been rung. At this time, the old man also tells the delivery people that the shipments they just transported are the things that are harming the people. An urgent message from the delivery team spreads like wildfire. They immediately run to the scene and frantically call on the crowd not to get injected anymore, that those who get injected will face a future of going down to the afterlife to reunite with their ancestors. But the guards are too strict, so no one can get close. Cornered, the delivery people are forced to fire into the air to attract attention. Amid the chaotic scene, Sawul also fires into the air to create a gap in the encirclement of soldiers, because there are still his close friends trapped inside the building, and he can't abandon them. Taking advantage of the confusing situation, Sawul rushes over, hoping to be able to save his friends in time, but the soldiers quickly spot him and point their guns at him. In that instant, Sawul only manages to catch the body of his friend, who is gradually getting colder, and then he cries out in helplessness. But before he can regain his composure, he's overwhelmed by the soldiers, who knock him unconscious and capture him alive. The news about capturing the mutant reaches Ryu Suk, making him extremely excited. His sinister smile is now a harbinger of the terrible plans to come. Meanwhile, The delivery team has completed preparing the weapons and ammunition. Everyone is in the mood to be ready for a do-or-die battle for the homeland. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the lieutenant also appears. She offers to join the group because she can't stand by and watch as her brother falls into the hands of the enemy. After all, Saul is the foster brother she loves dearly. On the other side, Saul has been escorted to Ryu-suk. Before long, he's injected with anesthesia to prepare for the blood transfusion ceremony. The final step in the plot to turn Ryu-suk into an immortal. Everything happens so fast, because a moment later, Saul is taken straight to the laboratory. At the same time, Woo-bin's team has secretly approached the core area. Just as they arrive, they change into camouflage clothing and carry weapons, preparing for battle. From the ceiling, ropes have been lowered. The group slides down like lightning and opens with a fierce barrage of fire on the guards below. Amid the rain of bombs and bullets, a coup is breaking out. Before long, the lieutenant also leads a convoy of vehicles in. The forces under her command simultaneously assist and join forces with the delivery team to raid the entire central area. Realizing that the shootout is fierce and will last for hours, Woo-bin decides not to wait any longer and leads a team of elite soldiers to raid the command center. Inside the laboratory, Ryu-suk has begun to transfuse Saul's blood into his body. He's smiling contentedly because in just a few minutes, his dream of becoming immortal will come true. Outside, Woo-bin and the lieutenant are still firing. At the same time, Ryu-suk is also watching the fierce battle on the surveillance screen. Thanks to this, he begins to sense the danger that is approaching. At the basement door, Oh and his henchmen are struggling to control the situation when suddenly the power goes out. In the dark space, only the light from flashlights and the flashes of bullets appear in quick succession. At the same time, Ryu-suk successfully completed the blood transfusion process, thereby becoming immortal. On the other side, the lieutenant and her troops have stormed straight to the area where the president is being held captive. At this time, the Minister of Defense is holding her hostage. The guards are resisting fiercely, making the situation extremely tense. The lieutenant doesn't hesitate and quickly throws a smoke grenade, then leads the charge, launching a spectacular attack. Before long, the door opens, and the person who enters is the lieutenant. She coldly draws her gun and orders the arrest of the Minister of Defense, while the president wears a bright expression and sighs with relief because she's been saved. At the same time, Woo-bin has broken through the last line of defense and goes deep into the laboratory. He fights like a superhero, taking down more than 10 guards. Looking up, he sees Ryu-suk standing and watching from above. Realizing that the situation is not good, he immediately orders his men to run away. Then, he hurriedly takes Saul to the deepest basement. But on the way, he receives the news that the Minister of Defense has been arrested. Cornered, Ryu-suk opens the control panel and coldly flips a red lever, which is the self-destruct button for the dome's central air filtration system. If the air filtration core is disabled, all the people inside will not be able to breathe. After receiving the news, the people immediately rushed out. The entire dome suddenly turns into a sea of people running around, looking for a way out. At that moment, Woo-bin bursts in like a hurricane, taking down all the remaining guards. Seeing this, Ryu-suk doesn't give up and immediately fires, destroying the control panel. He wants to make sure that no one can stop the self-destruct process. The two stand facing each other, but their eyes seem to burn each other. Woo-bin raises his gun, the cold weapon pointing straight at the crazy guy. But Ryu-suk wears an arrogant smile and declares that he's willing to kill everyone who lives here, because he's immortal. Without hesitating, Woo-bin immediately pulls the trigger to see if Ryu-suk is really immortal. The bullets hit Ryu-suk repeatedly, causing him to fall to the ground. Outside, people are still panicking and running around wildly because the dome is gradually reaching the point of explosion. Amid the chaotic scene, no one notices that Ryu-suk's hand is still twitching. A few seconds later, the energy core explodes violently, shaking the entire dome. Millions of people inside scatter like a broken beehive, rushing out. Fortunately, most people manage to escape before everything completely collapses. In the chaotic scene, Woo-bin and the lieutenant manage to rescue Saul in time. After escaping the threat of the traitor, the president immediately orders the construction of a new dome. This time, she will completely abolish the hierarchical system that existed inside the dome. When a new dome is erected, a new era begins, a modern dome that is spacious and without class discrimination. Woo-bin has also completed his mission of liberating the people from Seoul's dictatorial grip. After the rain comes sunshine, and the sky above has become clearer than ever before. After months of being shrouded in darkness and fear, this is the first time the sun has shone so brightly. Woo-bin and Saul continue their delivery work as before. As for Ryu-suk, despite being transfused with blood from the mutant, he was not immortal. When the energy core exploded, he returned to dust. Thank you for watching.